and welcome to Adrenaline Athletic Training in Corona for another live edition of the Blitz. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez. We've got Tahquitz head coach Dennis Gregovich and brought some of his players as well to talk about the upcoming season and some of the changes to the playoffs. A lot to get to. We'll break down some of the baseball playoffs and softball playoffs coming up. Vinny Fazio, the head coach for Ramona, is scheduled to stop by as well. And of course, we'll be talking, as we mentioned, about the CIF changes to the playoff divisions. And maybe most notably, before we get to Tahquitz here, is Centennial and Vista Murrieta no longer in the Inland Division. So they've met 4 years in a row for the Inland Division title, and the Broncos and Huskies now moving on. Centennial will play in the Pac-5 division, and I've got the list right here, Coach, because I can't even keep up with who's in what division now. Big Five, the Moore League, which has Long Beach Poly, the Marmont, which has some of the, like Thousand Oaks, I think, and St. Bonaventure, the Trinity League, Servite, Olu, we all know about them, Mater Dei. So they're in the Pac-5. Vista Murrieta moving to a new West Valley division, which will also have, besides the Southwestern League, the Baseline League that some people are familiar with, some schools from out of Orange County like Mission Viejo, and some up by the Santa Clarita area. So if you've been to Magic Mountain, some of those schools like Canyon. So there's a lot of good schools there in the West Valley division. So maybe the biggest change coming from these CIF meetings is that Centennial and Vista Murrieta no longer in the Inland Division. But guess who is? This guy over here and his team, the Twiitz Titans, head coach Dennis Gregovich. And Coach, let me be the first to welcome you to the Inland Division now, playing with some pretty big-time schools there.
Oh yeah, big difference. So looking forward to it, looking forward to the challenge that it represents, and know the kids are excited, and a lot of coaches are looking forward to it.
Now, you guys competed in the Eastern Division. You guys had a lot of success. So did Citrus Hill. Oh, yeah. Do you think that was the main factor in, wanting to move you guys up to the Inland?
Yeah, Citrus Hill, from most of the coaches that we've talked to and everything else, they're always the team that, everybody felt they had to beat. If you felt you could measure yourself up and compete with Citrus Hill, you had a pretty good shot of doing well. And if you didn't think you could match up with Citrus Hill, then you were in for a long year.
I was at that game last year at Citrus Hill. You had them on the ropes. What do you remember about that game?
For me, it was, when Derek Peters, it's almost like everything happened in slow motion. When Derek Peters came around the end and he hit the sideline, he got up and he had dislocated his finger on his hand. And I just kept waiting for him to get back in the game, and of course they couldn't set the finger and get it done. So it really changed the game plan. We had to go from where we thought we could run and keep him a little bit off balance to having to throw, and it took a little while to adjust. And losing it in the end was a little bit of a heartbreaker there.
All right, so here's the brave new world of the Inland Division. We've got the Citrus Belt League with Redlands, East Valley, Rev, Ukaipa, Carter. Those are some of the schools. The Inland Valley League, we all know about the Rancho Verde.
Oh, yeah.
Riverside Poly.
Duffy did a great job, fantastic job over there. And it's fun that, you've seen them on the highlights and everything else and how well they've done, and now you're going to be in the same group with them.
Yeah, you get to play them.
Oh, yeah.
And so you might be in some of their highlights.
Oh yeah, let's hope we're on the good side.
Yeah, on the good side. The Mountain Pass League, that's your league. The San Andreas League, which we saw San Gorgonio. Yeah, had a great season last year, and of course the Sun Belt League, and they've got that three-headed monster right now, which these three teams always seem to be fighting for that league title. And Heritage, Paloma Valley, and of course Elsinore. And Heritage, they won the Central Divisions last year, and they've got a lot of guys back too.
Yeah, beat Rancho Verde, and Rancho Verde's always been up in the championship games there, and Heritage played really well, and interesting to see them win that game.
That could be a natural rivalry, right, with Heritage? I mean, they're not really that far from you guys at Tahquitz.
They're about 3-4 miles, and I've actually said, as we see the schedule come out, that would probably be a good one that we eventually get on the schedule to play them. I mean, quality team, CIF championship team. And if you want to be mentioned in the same conversation, I think those are the type of teams you're going to have to eventually play, and it would be a good rivalry.
Did you kind of see the writing on the wall that, hey, when the CIF comes out with their new divisions, we're probably going to be bumped up, and we're going to be playing some pretty good teams? Yeah,
the general consensus, same thing with most of the coaches, was that's what was going to happen. Citrus was going to get moved up. They felt with the last couple of seasons we had that we were going to play into that factor as well. So you just deal with what you deal with and go ahead and move on and take your shots when you get your opportunities.
Now with your guys coming back, what do you think this team might be strong this upcoming season for Tahquitz?
The one thing that's been, that I've really been proud of when we go out for a spring ball is every year we seem to get more and more players, and we've got competition this year. Usually we may not have as much depth, but I look at our receivers core. We've got 10 deep receivers who all have a lot of speed, and a lot of our guys go both ways, so that helps out with the secondary, which hopefully will keep us a little more refreshed, and I'm hoping we can put up some more points this year and, pick up the offense when we left off last year.
We're looking at some highlights from last season from the Titans. You guys play fast. You score a lot of points. No slight on your defense because your defense had a great season. But speaking of offense, you guys run the play cards. And you have, talk about some of the cartoons and some of the things you had on the play cards. And how did you come about it? Was it by suggestion, things that you like, things that the players like?
I'm not even gonna lie, but everybody took the thing from Chip Kelly, and I sat down with a couple coaches, and we were trying to figure out, well, what's the best way to call this. The idea behind it is, if you look at a picture, just like if you look at a fast food restaurant, when you see what the number 2 is, like at McDonald's, you automatically know. So everything's built into the play, the formation, what the play actually is, if there's a motion, and it just seemed to work out well. And sometimes the kids have a really good one, but we use cartoon characters, we use funny quotations, everything we can think of. So I think it distracts the defense a little bit.
So you're going to do that again?
We're going to add a little bit of everything into it. We're going to try and put a lot of our verbiage into hand signals this year, so we can make sure try and keep things a little more secret.
What do I got to do to get on one of those boards?
You're going to be on one this year. First game.
You promise?
Promise you, first game.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, because I got to get on one of those boards.
And
I don't want it to be some oh, it's a goal line stand. I want it to be something awesome like a Hail Mary, flea flicker, or something crazy.
We're going to make that one a fade. We're going to throw the fade to the back of the end.
There you go.
Davis, go up and catch it.
Hey, there you go. We'll talk to Ty in just a second. I don't want to give away all your tricks.
Okay.
If you're playing Rev in the playoffs and they see my face, they're like, oh, there's the fade. We'll get ready for that play.
I'd just be happy this year if we get into the playoffs again and get a shot to play one of those teams. That would be great.
All right, so let's go back to the Mountain Pass real quick. Of course, Citrus Hill's been that team to beat. Came so close last season. They always seem to reload. They've always got these great guys. But do you feel like maybe you're closing the gap a little bit season by season?
The last couple of years, Coach Zolmal does such a great job over there with getting his kids prepared and ready to play. That's all. Like I said, that's been our measuring stick. But the last couple of years, I thought we were able to become a little bit more competitive. So I think we're still on that route, and hopefully we can still battle for that Mountain Pass championship. And you just take the playoffs as it goes, whatever the draw comes up.
All right, Coach, I'm going to get up here. Why don't you introduce the 4 guys that you brought along for the show today and tell us who these guys are?
Okay, well, the guy closest to you with the headband on is Michael Rockmore. Michael Rockmore was our offensive lineman, defensive lineman. He came to us last year, his first year there, instantly became a starter. The next young man next to him is Mr. Tim Neely. Tim Neely plays on defense. He was safety, slot, running back, plays a little bit of everything. The next young man over is going to be Billy Keegan. He's the guy that's going to have all the pressure, calling the plays and the signals. And the last young man is Ty Davis. Ty Davis was one of our outstanding receivers, and he's going to be on the outside trying to get the good matchup for us.
So this is the core. This is the nucleus. This is the team that's going to go 10-0 right here?
We hope we just have a good season. That's what we're going to put on.
All right,
no expectations.
We'll start there. First, Michael, let me just ask you, you guys are in spring ball, right?
Spring ball, yes.
So, how's spring ball going? Excited just to be back on the field a little bit?
Yeah, it's going good. We got a lot of young guys learning. They're starting to catch up. We're just starting to nip our plays in the bud, just getting closer and closer to our goal this year.
All right, Tim, welcome to Neelyville down here, all right? You've been around the program a little bit. You guys are getting better and better every single year. Where do you think this Titans team will be strong this upcoming season?
To be honest, I believe we'll be strong as we go on, because right now we're at a good base, but as we go on, we'll get better and better.
And we got Billy down here, the quarterback, right?
Man with all the pressure. He better be the one. He wanted the hot seat. He's got it.
This is the guy. So you have to read the play cards from this guy with all the cartoons and stuff. Do you like that? Do you like, seeing a cheeseburger and you know exactly what play it is?
Well, I held him last year, so I should be able to know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He got a shot to hold him and really learn how the whole system works. So, that was a good experience for him last year.
So Billy had a lot of time taking a look at those.
He got to ask questions, sort of understand how we call the plays, and learn a little bit, so it'll do him good for this year.
All right, guys, let's scoot over just a little bit. Ty, I'm going to grab you next. What's it like playing for Coach Gregovich? You can be honest here. He's arm length away,
I can take it.
It's a good experience. He listens to me. I listen to him. I trust him. I trust our offense, our defense, my quarterback. It's easy. It's fun. It's a new thing every day. Practice. It's fun. Game time. He's creative. He's creative. Oh, he's creative. He can draw up something in less than 30 seconds.
The new Chip Kelly, I heard.
Let's not go overboard.
The high school version of Chip Kelly. Now I got a pop quiz for all of you. I looked up your school colors. Do you guys know what your official school colors are?
Yep.
You do? All right, Michael, hit me with it, Michael.
Hunter green and Vegas gold.
Woo! Did you know that, Coach?
Yes, I did.
Okay, man, you got.
Let's be honest. I thought it was forest green and Vegas gold.
Uh-oh, do we have a controversy here?
Challenge.
Throw the flag on the field. No, Kelly green's like brighter green, isn't it? Or
I think it is actually supposed to be forest green.
Forest green?
Yeah.
Forest and Hunter, it's the same thing, right?
I don't think so.
Hey,
but I could be wrong.
Look it up.
Do you guys get any new uniforms this season or a new look at all? Or
we actually no. I know you're praying for it.
Yeah.
he wants the black uniforms, black the black and gold ones we have. No, they're staying in storage. The one thing we did do is we switched to helmet color. Some of the people like it, some don't like it, but I think the majority of our varsity players are happy with the color.
All right, guys, let me ask you. I mean, the big news has been moving up to the Inland Division for the whole entire Mountain Pass League. You guys excited to get a bump up and see what you guys have? You've been having some pretty good football seasons the last couple of years, and see what you guys can do against some of these other leagues.
Yeah, we're very excited because we're going to get the experience for the younger guys. So when they come up, they're used to playing better schools. So then by their senior year, they're going to be as great as, possibly even better than us. So it's a very good experience for us.
Better than Neelyville over here, Tim. Talk about bumping up to the Inland Division and seeing some pretty good teams. Assuming you guys make the playoffs, I'm penciling you guys in for the playoffs. Okay.
You're right.
Well, going up in a bigger bracket, a better bracket, is a good experience for us because it's more competition. Instead of just going against Citrus Hill and fighting for them, and we have more teams to fight for instead of just one team to try to beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams. And Billy, as the quarterback, what are some of the things that you're working on right now in spring ball and maybe over the summer doing some passing, to kind of get better and be ready for a very competitive Mountain Pass League season and hopefully a playoff spot?
Well, it'll be great. It's the little things. You got to work on the little things and get better at those, and work with your guys and get closer, and just have an overall get together and be a good team. And with these great teams, it's going to be a great task to try and beat them.
And let me guess, you're not going to miss holding the play cards, right?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready to be on the field. Yes. Yeah.
All right, Ty, talk about the same thing, man. Going up against some good teams next season. Of course, you got to get through your non-league and a tough Mountain Pass League schedule, but hopefully trying to get that playoff spot.
Well, like I said, I trust my team, my quarterback, my coach. I feel like it'll be great for us. A lot of competition. Get us exposed. Get some of our guys out to college. We have a lot of talent on our team. It'll just be something new, something to work for.
Now, for you key returning players, you played Citrus Hill down to the wire last season. Made the playoffs, won a playoff game, right? You beat, was the Burroughs, wasn't it?
Burroughs, yes, beat the Burroughs.
The Burroughs. You lost to Sanji. So, I mean, good experience last year. You guys had a really good season. So, for your returning players, how do you think that will benefit you going forward, having that experience of doing well?
It makes us more hungry to get to the next level because we were so close. Like, we could smell it, basically. But I guess our fight wasn't that strong. We wasn't really forward. We wasn't really focused. But this year we're more focused, more hungrier, and we're not going to stop until we get to our goal.
How about you, Tim?
Well, this year I believe we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder because we tried to go as far as we could for the seniors last year. Now this year we're just playing for each other. So now it'll just be a better experience for us.
All right, guys. So, Coach, refresh me. Who do you have in your non-league right now?
Non-league is going to be scrimmage Temecula Chaparral. And then we have, I'm trying to think here, for the first game, it goes Palm Springs, Murrieta Mesa, Rancho Mirage, Canyon Springs, and then Temecula Valley.
Oh, okay. So Temecula Valley's back, Mesa's back.
Right.
So you got some Southwestern League schools in there again. So do you guys feel like maybe playing some of these schools, get a little battle tested, Billy, especially for you to get some experience before you hit that Mountain Pass League, right?
Yeah, it's experience playing the better teams. And the past 2 years, we made it to the third round the first year, my freshman year, and I got to watch that, a lot of mental reps. And then second year, we made it to the second round last year and didn't get as far as we wanted. And now this year, we're going to try and make it all the way and do whatever we can to make it and win.
Now, we saw Michael Stewart have a record-setting year. I mean, he was off the charts for you guys last year. This guy Ty on the end, is he the next big thing? I mean, are we gonna be talking about this guy?
I sure hope so. You know, he had a good season last year. So if he continues to work hard, I think he's got the potential for it.
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's been passed down to me. I'm ready. I won't let my team down.
Just tell Belly get you the ball, right?
Oh yeah, every day, every day.
You guys working in practice and it's looking good?
Oh, definitely, every day. At lunch, first period, every day.
Wait, don't tell me you're supposed to be in class studying. You guys are talking football. Passing period.
See, Billy's got to learn the main rule that every receiver is always open. You know, they always come back to the huddle. I'm open. I'm open.
Yeah.
Has he given you that yet? Has Ty told you, hey Billy, I was open on that play?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Ty always thinks he's open, but I'll just whatever I can do to help my team win, I'm gonna do it. So.
Hey, Coach, what's your passing schedule look like? You're gonna be at Paloma for the big one.
We have the San Diego State tournament coming up.
Okay.
On June 7th and 8th. We're down there the first weekend. We're at Bellflower on the 20th and 21st. And then we have a couple other dates mixed in, which we're going to throw. But we actually get to go tomorrow to throw against Temecula Chaparral, too. So just looking forward to getting some work.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Good luck this season. We're going to sit down with Coach a little bit more before we move on. And Coach, just talking to these guys, I mean, they're hungry. I mean, they had a good season last year. They've been through some battles, but you know, they want more, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, they can't get enough of getting on the board, learning, you know, the ins and outs of, you know, what we expect of them. The receivers, I think they get a little tired of stuff because I tell them I'm a big landmark person. And when they run their routes, it has to be done a specific way. They have to understand what we're looking for so everybody's on the same page to make the offense work or it doesn't go.
Now, you know, we're talking about Michael Stewart a little bit, and, you know, there's Ty right over there. I mean, kind of the same makeup? I mean, kind of the same body type a little bit? Kind of like that thick receiver? Yeah.
He's a bigger kid. He also plays on the basketball team, has been a big part of, you know, of what they do over there. But we've got a couple tall kids. Devion Pickett-Fields is another guy that we have. He's a tall kid, aggressive. He's going to get the move over to the defensive side also. We had a great incoming freshman class and a couple more receivers, but when I figured it out the other day, all four of the receivers, minus Michael Stewart, you know, played last year. They were all in the 5-man rotation, so that should be a strength of ours if we, you know, do everything, you know, correct.
Is it critical right now what, you know, the chemistry between Ty and Billy right now, just kind of developing that rapport and getting to know each other a little bit, because obviously when the season rolls around, that's probably going to be your big 1-2 punch, right?
Right. I like him to be able to look, you know, the quarterback to look at the receiver and just be able to look over and give a little nod and understand what's going on, because we use so much terms and everything else, pictures, that, you know, sometimes it may only mean something between the quarterback and one receiver, and the more reps they get at it, the better it is. So for us, I enjoyed the passing big part of it. I think it helps us.
All right, final question. Looking, you know, moving forward, looking at the big picture for this upcoming season. I know you guys are going to the Inland Division, but you know, what's kind of best case scenario? How do you kind of see this season maybe playing out for Tahquitz?
We're going to do it the same way we always do. We're just going to go one game at a time, and hopefully when we get to the end of the year, we have a shot to be in the playoffs. I think everybody in our league wouldn't dispute, you know, Zomalt and Citrus Hills at the top, and we're all coming after them. So hopefully we're in the playoffs, and you know, we're going to work for that, but I'm not going to stand up here and give any predictions right now.
Well, I know you guys are a new school, but you've already have this, you know, tradition of winning. You guys are used to winning some games, so I mean, you know, it's not like, hey, we're just going to roll over because we're going to play some bigger schools.
We've been real fortunate to get a lot of great coaches that come through. A lot of coaches that have, you know, a couple of them moved on, some of them are still there, really care about the kids, and as long as we get, you know, more coaches and to come into the program and still stay apart and, you know, care about the kids and a great administration, then I think we can keep on that tradition.
Before you go, we got to give a big shout out to your defensive coordinator, right?
Yes, yes. We got a new defensive coordinator. He does not want me to say his name, say anything about him. But Stefan Pace, your defensive coordinator this year, he's ready.
Is he ready to go?
I
mean, your defense was awesome last year. He's got some big shoes to fill, right?
Yeah, Hamley Hamley and I are great friends. He did a great job. He got a wonderful teaching opportunity. He's moving over to West Valley. His staff's going with him. So, you know, we were able to lean on our defense last year, but you know, Pace was down in the San Diego area, Ramona. He coached with Damon Baldwin at the, you know, at their school. They were in the finals of the one year. They played Oceanside. They beat Helix. So he's battle tested.
Yeah.
So he's looking forward to it, and he's actually been at Tahquitz since the school opened as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep, he's been on campus since the school opened.
Well, you guys have a fantastic stadium and hopefully some fantastic games this upcoming season. And like I said, I'm penciling you in for the playoffs. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope we make your expectations come true.
All right, head coach Dennis Gregovich from the Titans. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming, Coach.
Appreciate it.
You're one of our favorites.
Thank you.
You know. So we really appreciate you making out the drive, and tell your guys over here. I know they're watching the little kids playing basketball.
Yeah, they're and
yeah.
You didn't have to use the mask. That was good.
Oh, it's in my bag. There's still time. Maybe once you're gone, I'll bust it out.
No mask.
Okay. All right, you're good, Coach. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good luck this season. Head coach Dennis Gregovich from the Tahquitz Titans, and come on, Kyle. You're itching to get on. I could tell.
Well, it's only been, I don't know, 4 weeks or so. It's been a long time. I missed you guys.
Well, all this,
I missed everything.
All this high school baseball, you know, and you've had some other stuff going on too. And
every Wednesday there's been a must-cover game, and just, you know, how big these league races have been. It's been exciting. It's been fun, but I definitely missed you. I missed the camera. And, it's funny. I actually had I was wondering if people think, did he get fired or something? Did he get let go? Because I haven't been here, but I've just been.
Oh, he's here. He's just on the road.
Yeah,
he's been a nomad.
Pick a city, any city. I've probably been there the last few weeks.
All right, to kind of piggyback on what head coach Gregovich was saying and moving to the Inland Division, he's part of the Mountain Pass League who's jumping up and kind of making a move up. So is the San Andreas League, and I caught up with their head coach, Rupa Hills head coach Ed McMillan, as well as Fontana High, who plays in the Sunkiss League, so they're not directly affected by this, although they're still in the Central Division with some new leagues. But we talked to McMillan about Rupa Hills going up to the San Andreas League. You know, they won the East Valley Division Championship last year. Now he's going to the Inland Division. Here's Coach McMillan on, they practice with Fontana, so we talked a little bit about that, but also making that jump up to the Inland Division.
Yeah, my only thoughts are we'll go wherever they put us, but hopefully it's done fair and impartial, and we get the benefit of the doubt, however it's done.
You guys won a championship in the East Valley, and they bump you up to the Inland, which I guess says something good about the program because they think highly of, you know, the San Andreas and the teams in it. So I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Oh, definitely, it's good. It's good. We're working on getting better. We'll be in year 5. We got some good, a pretty good team, but we still got some replacements to find, and we're just working on trying to get the best team out here now. No, actually, he had hit me up and asked if we wanted to get some work in to try to just get ready for the upcoming season. I was like, yes. We're kind of, because we just started last week, but we, you know, I don't ever run from competition. I figured, we can get out here and try to get better, so that was the whole point.
What did you think of Fontana? Did they have some good athletes on that side?
Yes, but Fontana always has some pretty good athletes. It's just kind of channeling the energy and getting them together. So I think he's got some good synergy going on over there. They look like they're going to be real competitive and do their thing this year. But right now, I'm not really worried about them. We got to work on getting us better right now.
Now we know, you know, Wright went to Salesian, your quarterback, and you're looking at a new QB. Any movement there? Any you know, is it a front runner or is it a quarterback battle right now?
It's a competition. We don't have anybody right now. The 3 guys we got, they're just sharing reps, trying to learn the offense, and we're going to see who comes out on top toward the end.
Man, the new guy at Faux High, a lot of tradition at this school. What's it going to take to kind of, you know, rebuild that tradition?
I think first off, we got to take care of it in the classroom. But once we get the classroom settled in, I think we have the talent to get us back in the playoffs. So that's always the goal.
Under Matheny, you can see the program's kind of making strides. I mean, what do you like about this team, what you've seen so far, to kind of maybe take that to the next level and challenge for a playoff spot?
You could just tell that they're hungry. They want it. I keep hearing the kids talk about like a couple games that they had last year that they lost, you know, in a couple minutes of the 4th quarter. So it's kind of just turning the corner, you know, keep going what Coach Matheny did and build on that, and I think we'll be okay.
Thrown against Coach McMillan's team over here at Rupa Hills. You're back at familiar grounds. How was that going against these guys?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know, being on the other side. You know, kind of, you know, you build that rapport with the kids and the coaches, you know. But, you know, it's all about getting work in the spring and summer. So we had a good time.
All right, so Fontana looking good, at least in that practice. And, of course, Rupa Hills coming off that CIF championship. But they are looking for a new quarterback because DJ Wright transferring to Los Angeles Salesian.
Big loss, maybe the biggest loss of any team when we look at, you know, players who transferred over the offseason. But good programs replace losses. We'll see if Rupa Hills can do it.
That's right. So new league, San Andreas, new division, the Inland, new quarterbacks, a lot of changes at Rupa Hills, but they've got a pedigree of winning already, so they're a young school, but they can win. Now we're going to have Vinny Fazio scheduled to come on a little bit later in the show to get his analysis on.
I miss Vinny. It's been a while. It's been way too long.
It's been way too long, and I'm sure he has some good thoughts on, you know, all this shakeup from the playoff divisions, and we'll get to him whenever he rolls in here. But we got to get to baseball because you just came from a baseball game. And was it the fastest in history of baseball?
No, there's been some faster, but hour and a half. Seth Kaneen, Corona, he's their #2 starter, but he performs like a #1. Moved to 6-1 on the year today. ERA sub 1.3. 4-hitter, 11 Ks. Corona beats Arlington 6-0. And Corona we've talked about a little bit, but there really is a lot to like about this team as a sleeper team, a 3-seed, a wild card team that can maybe go pretty far here because they've got that pitching. They threw Kaneen their #2 today with the idea of lining up Tristan Beck, their Stanford-bound ace, to face second-seeded Loyola.
That's a huge task right
now,
there.
Loyola's got 3 pitchers, not 1, not 2, 3, going to Pac-12 schools. A guy going to UCLA, a guy going to Arizona, a guy going to Stanford. Well, Tristan Beck might be throwing against his future Stanford teammate Quinn Brody, depending on who Loyola chooses to throw. We're going to have a real doozy out there. And look, Loyola's great. Corona's been inconsistent. But when Tristan Beck's on the mound, Corona has a chance to win every single game they play, Loyola included. It'll be a good one Friday, and I really like the strategy employed by Andy Wise and the Corona staff.
It'll be interesting to see if Corona can see if lightning will strike twice. A couple of years ago, they rode a couple of pitchers all the way to the championship game, and they weren't exactly that that high-seeded team. They just kind of snuck into the playoffs and rode a hot streak.
There's a lot of teams out there that have a chance to go far. In Division I, though, I've been on the record of saying I really think Norco's legitimate championship contender. I have reservations about everybody else, whether it's Santiago or Pauley or Valley View or North, but Corona is probably the team behind Norco that I would say, okay, there's pieces in place for a successful run. If Corona goes on a run, you can be impressed, but I don't think you can be shocked because when you have arms like they do, you have a chance to win every ball game.
Right, so this was a wild card round. The first round officially begins Thursday and Friday, depending on your division. Just throw out a game or two that you're kind of, on your radar, that you're kind of eyeing, saying this could be a good game, maybe an all-local game. Is there any of those?
Yeah, actually, you have Citrus Valley and Hemet down Division 5. Now, Citrus Valley obviously was the runner-up in D5 last year. Hemet was a quarterfinalist. Both these teams are a little bit down this year. They're not quite as good as last year, but they're experienced, they're well-coached, they're talented. It's a first-round matchup that'll be interesting, and looking at that bracket, it might be the toughest game they play until maybe the semis, depending on how the quarters shake out. So I think that'll be a really good one. Another one that I really want to see is Temescal Canyon San Gorgonio. Going to see some great pitching there. Temescal Canyon, should they throw Sean Trimble or Devin McKesson, that's Long Beach State commit, UCR commit. Sanji's probably going to throw Hazahel Quijada, who leads the area in strikeouts. That's going to be a really good matchup. And the Sun Belt League is traditionally thought of as better than the San Andreas League, and it normally is. I'm curious to see if it is in case this year. I think this matchup is going to give us a really good indication on where the two leagues stand in the grand scheme of things.
Any other baseball notes before we move on?
I think we got to see what Temecula Valley does. They looked very good. They beat an underrated, solid Cajon team, and now they have a rematch with Cypress, who... That's a rematch of last year's Division II title game. That's a huge
game.
Round.
Yeah, that's a huge game for a first rounder.
And TV already beat him in the Boris Classic earlier this year. So if TV can get hot, and they're probably going to throw Brandon Cook, they're #1. It's going to be interesting to see. I think if they can beat Cypress, that'll really get their confidence up and get them rolling, and it'll be a big one for them. So
maybe Temecula Valley and Corona, two wildcard teams, making some noise in the playoffs.
And don't forget Great Oak. There's one local team ranked in Baseball America's top 25 this week. It's Great Oak.
It's Great Oak. All right, moving on to softball. A couple huge games lined up for Thursday. Pauley at Norco, King at Murrieta Valley, all local, big-time matchups. And the softball playoffs condensed, Kyle, to 2 weeks. So some teams played Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and possibly Saturday. So there could be 4 games in 1 week because they're doing it in 2 weeks with a championship game slated for next Friday and Saturday. One of those teams hoping to play in a championship game in Division 5, the top seed, Rupa Hills. They had no problem taking care of Bell Gardens last night.
The CIF Southern Section softball playoffs are underway. The first round officially kicking off on Tuesday. Now, some of these softball teams will be playing 3 up to 4 games in just 1 week because the softball playoffs have been condensed into just 2 weeks. So the championship games will be next Friday and Saturday in Irvine.
One of those teams hoping to play in a championship game, Rupa Hills, the top seed in Division 5, hosting Bell Gardens on Tuesday in the first round. Spartans ace Natalie Calderas, the K in the first inning. Bottom of 1, Isabel Villanueva smacks the long double. Marcy Aravalo crosses the plate, but Kristen Ramirez tagged out. Rupa Hills takes the 1-zip lead, though. To the second, Calderas collects another strikeout. Bottom of 2, Brittany Vickery slaps the infield single to the hole. Kristen Benjamin scores. 2-zip, Rupa Hills in front. In the 4th, Calderas, the K. Go ahead and do the math. You'll find Calderas racked up 21 strikeouts in the game. Goodness. Bottom of the 4th, now a 2-1 game when Calderas goes clubbing. The standout pitcher clubs a 3-run ride deep to left field, and the Spartans take the 5-1 lead. Now it's back to Calderas in the circle, and she is in cruise control at this point. Bell Gardens having trouble even getting the bat on the ball. Bottom of 5, Vanessa Sales singles up the middle. Monique Rojas scores for the Spartans, and that makes it 6-1. Still in the 5th, Calderas rips the single through the legs of the third baseman. Salas and Arevalo score. 8-1, Rupa Hills on top. Later in the 5th, Olandra Vickery singles the center. That scores her twin sister, Brittany. That makes it 9-1, and Calderas goes the distance, breezes to the 9-1 win. Rupa Hills is moving on in the D5 playoffs.
I really think we deserved it. We've been working hard to get here, and I just really was focusing and did what I had to do. So 21 strikeouts was really good.
It's the plan, take it one game at a time, and just move on as we go. These girls have been working hard all year to get to this position, and you know, for us right now, it's just one game at a time. Click them off and see what happens. The pressure's on, but you know what? These girls have all been through that already, once or twice already. So I mean, they're ready for this, and I think they're going to be fine.
So a dominant performance by Natalie Calderas as Rupa Hills moves on with a 9-1 win against Bell Gardens. Now they get the Burros. A long trip up to Ridgecrest, California.
21 Ks? Yeah, 21 Ks.
21.
Here I was impressed with my 4-hitter with 11
That's nothing,
Ks
Kyle.
I just saw.
That's nothing. Not until you roll with Natalie Calderas in the circle. All right, now we're back to football. And we're waiting for this guy. It's for good reason. He's always got some very thoughtful takes, and head coach from your Ramona Rams, Vinny Fazio.
I'm going to give him the mic full time. You and I can switch.
It sounds good because he has a lot of better things to say than us. I'm just glad he finally got some Ramona gear. He usually rolls in with.
I'm looking good. I had to rush to get over here tonight. I let Coach Big Foz take the last 10 minutes of practice.
Uh-oh.
So
is that dangerous? Is that a good?
He's ready. You know, I think he's ready in his progression to take a little more responsibility. So Coach Big Foz is running the last 10 minutes tonight.
You've been coaching him up. He's ready.
Yeah, we got him ready to go.
Well, Coach, obviously the big news right now is the new playoff divisions, and we'll start with your team, Ramona, the River Valley League, still in the Eastern Division, but they kind of switched out some of the leagues around you. Desert Valley, which is like Palm Springs, right? Yep. Palm Desert, La Quinta. The Desert Sky, another high desert league. Mojave River, another high desert league with Serrano and the like, and the Mountain Valley, which is going to look completely different. You still got Moval in there, and some other teams like Vista del Lago and Pacific and whatnot. So. Just your general thoughts on the new look of the Eastern Division.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I want to say, you know, I give them a hard time, but I think the CIF hit a home run with the redivisioning. I think they did a really good job. I like our division. You know, you get the Serranos and Oak Hills, Palm Springs and La Quinta. I think there's a lot of kind of diversity of different kinds of teams and different kinds of areas. Obviously, you know, I think Norte Vista and you know is going to be a really good representative, especially this year. Moreno Valley's been strong for a couple years, so I think it sets up to be a really strong, you know, overall bracket, and I like the looks of it.
I have to ask you, how big was the smile on your face when you saw Citrus Hill was out of the division?
Yeah, you know, they've done a good job. They should be out. I mean, in reality, they're where they should be. The CIF got it right. They should be the Mountain Pass with the success Citrus Hills had, and Tahquitz, and how good they've been lately. I mean, they should be where they're going, where they should be. So I really think the CIF got it right pretty much everywhere.
Now, the big question I have is, you know, you've coached in the CBL with Ike, and you've seen Rev. These have been some teams that win the CBL, get that #1 playoff seed, then they lose in the first round in the Inland Division. Now they're facing teams that were previously in lower divisions. Do you expect the CBL teams like Rev now to really, really excel just because they don't have to see Centennial or Norco or Vista in the playoffs?
I think it's equitable placement for the CBL. I think the CBL has been placed probably higher the last 4 or 5 years than they should have been. And you can see it with the playoff results. You know, with the fact that really the CBL's only playoff wins in the last couple of years have come against the Sierra League, which is also out now of that.
No longer exists.
You know, West Valley, well, it's going to be the West Valley. So I think the CBL's appropriately placed now. And I don't think it's a slam dunk for Rev. I mean, you're talking about
Rancho Verde is still there.
Citrus Hill, Heritage.
Riverside Poly.
Riverside Poly, who's absolutely totally loaded this year.
Right.
So you're talking about. I don't think this is a zombie walk for Rev to the finals. They're going to see some good teams on the way. San Gorgonio probably got one of the best teams San Gorgonio's had in 20, 25 years, you know, since Ron Rivers was running around at San Gorgonio. So, you know, I think it's appropriate placement for the CBL.
Let me say, I went on Twitter, and some Rev guys came out of the woodwork, some I would consider friends of mine, and they said, hey, if they would have made these changes like 3 or 4 years ago, we'd have a couple rings by now.
True. I think that's true. I think if this would have happened when Rev had the you know, the team they had, well, poking fouls, shit, absolutely. That team, those teams could have won it in the Inland Division. I mean, they're 1 or 2 plays away from being Inland Division champions with those teams. But I mean,
say like 2011 when they had Decoud
the
and
Austin Decoud teams, and if this would have happened then I think you're talking about, well, Rev's probably going to cruise. I think Rev has lost some guys to you know, Citrus Valley's got better. And that area's kind of grown. San G is holding a few guys that they didn't used to hold. So, like I said, I think Rev obviously has to be one of the favorites in that division, no doubt about it. And I think they're one of the teams you look at and say that should probably be one of the final 4 or so type of teams. But do I think they're going to sleepwalk through Rancho Verde? I mean, I think Rancho Verde's got something to say about that Priya football.
The only suggestion I would make is I would have probably took the San Andreas League and put them in your Eastern Division and put the Desert Valley with like Palm Springs and Palm Desert in the Inland. I mean, could you see that? Or
the deal, I think, with the San Andreas, I mean, you look at San Gorgonio has over 3,000 students. Rialto has over 3,000 students. You know, Arroyo Valley's a relatively big school. So these are bigger schools in the San Andreas League, whereas those schools out in the Desert Valley are generally smaller. La Quinta is, I think, 3,100 or so, but the rest of those schools are 2,200. So I see it. I mean, you know, in the Desert Valley has had some success in the past, especially with Palm Springs and La Quinta have had some loaded teams, but I think it's negligible at best. And I think San G's success last year, you know, really kind of set the table for that. You know, San G kind of pulled that league along with it, kind of with the way they played last year.
Well, before I pass the mic off to Kyle, let me ask you this. So if they're going for a competitive balance, what do you think the criteria was? Just, you know, school population, or was it, you know, what have you done for me recently? Like, well, you know, Citrus Hills had a ton of success last couple of years. They got to go up, or you know, that team hasn't been so good. Let's drop them down and see what they can do.
I think it's competitive balance. Yeah. I mean, you know, they can say it is whatever they say it is, but I think it's competitive balance, and I think probably they need to stop calling these divisions directional, because they're not. I mean,
no, it's
not proximity.
It's 1, it's 2, it's 3.
It's 1, so call it 1. Call it 2, call it, we know what's what. Right. I mean, everybody can see it, so call it what it is. And I think that's kind of how the way they tried to structure it. And you know, if you're a team in a league with a Corona Centennial, you know, if you're those other teams in the Big 8, it's a tough draw. Yeah. If you're those other teams in the San Andreas League, that's a tough draw for those teams that went along with San G. Yeah. You know, whoever's going to finish 3rd in the Mountain Pass, that's a tough place to be for them. But you know, Citrus Hill is Citrus Hill. I mean, they belong where they're going. Yeah. Corona Centennial belongs where they're going. I think the CIF got it right. I really, really do. And they tried to get it right. That's the cool part. They tried to put the teams where they want to go. So, like I said, I've been the hardest on the CIF when I feel like they didn't. I think they got it as right as you can get it without having an open division. They did.
The thing that I'm really interested to see is, you know, everyone's talking about Centennial in the Pac-5 and Vista Marietta in this new West Valley, but the depth really matters. When you look at, say, you know, the South Coast League, which dropped out of the Pac-5 to make room for the Big 8, their top team, Mission Viejo, was doing just fine, and Edison was doing okay too, but the rest of the league was so weak, it got them out. So I feel like everyone's really excited about the Big 8 being there, but as Centennial can do as good as it wants, if Santiago and Norco and King don't have some success, and Roosevelt, I feel like they're going to drop right back down.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing to look at there. I think the thing to look at with the Big 8 is, what do the other teams do? Centennial's going to win games.
Right.
Centennial will play with anyone, anywhere. So Centennial's going to win. Now, are they going to win the CIF every year? I mean, are they rubber stamped to the finals anymore? I think that's probably no longer the case. I mean, I think they're going to have to play every week. But, yeah, what does Roosevelt do? You know, if they're the third, or Norco, or you know, Santiago, who's the 2 and the 3?
Yeah.
And what do they do? Are they competitive? Can they win a game? You know, what does the Big 8-2 do against the, you know, Trinity League 2? How does that, you know, and that'll be the determination on how long the Big 8 stays up there.
And same thing with the Southwestern League and the West Valley Division. I mean, they've got some, you know, they're familiar with the baseline league teams, but some of those other teams are really loaded too. And, you know, how will a Chaparral or a TV potentially or a Murrieta Valley handle those teams?
I think with the West Valley, what happened there was, you know, for so long it's been a rubber stamp of Corona Centennial and Vista Murrieta in the finals. And I don't think it's that anymore. I think there are enough now. Tesoro, you know, obviously the baseline league, I think, continues.
And now Mission Viejo's down there.
Mission Viejo, Edison, Newport Harbor, Los Alamitos, Hart, Candy Country. I mean, these are, you know, so I think for Vista Murrieta, and thinking in terms of how's Vista Murrieta looking at this, okay, got rid of Centennial. We don't have to see them anymore. That's good. The bad part is it's going to be harder to get to the finals.
Every round is going to be tough.
You're going to see a team like Tesoro potentially in the second round, or a Newport Harbor, or a Los Alamitos in the second round. And so you're going to have to slog your way into that finals rather than, you know, kind of picking on the CBL and the Sierra League and the you know, the leagues that weren't maybe as good anymore.
One more thing that I promise I'll give it back to Pep. The thing that I kind of like from Vista Murrieta's perspective is I feel like if they left him in the Inland Division after Centennial left and then they go win Division, everyone would be like, well, yeah, but it almost have an asterisk on it. By placing them in this tough division, now if they do have success, I think it kind of takes away that yeah, but, because if you can beat all those teams, your championship is legitimate, and if they left him in the Inland, I think a lot of people wouldn't see it that way.
If you beat Mission Viejo, you're really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you beat Mission Viejo, you're really, really good. Mission Viejo's really good. You know, and that said, I think, I don't like this impression of, oh, well, Rev got a break. Well, I mean, look, you want to play the best teams.
Yeah.
You want to beat the best teams. Nobody makes the NCAA tournament and goes, man, I wish we were in the NIT so we could win the championship. You want to play the best teams. And so I think if you're Vista Murrieta, you want to play the best team.
Yeah.
And now they have an opportunity. You know, you lose Centennial, but you replace them with Mission Viejo, you know, and Hart and Tesoro, and you know, you want to play the best teams. And that way, when you win, like you said, when you win, now you're a champion. You're not just beating up on little kids. You've now earned your championship against people that are like you.
Well, I think a lot of people just wanted to see Centennial and Vista Murrieta separated. It was kind of like a broken record. It's like, okay, well, we know who's going to be playing in the finals. Let's see how the playoffs kind of work themselves out. They played for 4 years in a row. We're looking at some video from last year's championship game. But we made an interesting point in the newsroom. Maybe now Centennial and Vista will schedule a non-league game, like a preseason game leading up to league. Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? I mean, everybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
You know, I know both of them have
it's a rivalry now.
I know both of them have trouble getting games. Why wouldn't they? You know, I know they're probably all full for this year. But I imagine that will be something that they'll take a hard look at. I know Coach Logan, Coach Candelo are competitive. I mean, why wouldn't they?
And neither shy away from, you know, scheduling tough games.
No,
so
neither of those teams are afraid to play anybody. So, yeah, I think that's... I mean, I'd like to see it. I'd TiVo it.
well, let's say this. Okay, so if the Pac-5 is like the 1A and the West Valley Division is the 1B, I mean, maybe a SoCal Regional, wouldn't that be cool? The rivalry renewed and it's a state game now.
And I think that stuff's going to happen. I mean, I think this sets up now to see more stuff like that. You know, again, I think it's a little bit unfortunate when you load the Pac-5 so much like they have. You eliminate good teams early. You know, so you're eliminating Mater Days and, you know, potentially Centennial, Long Beach Poly, teams that are maybe state championship level teams. And that's why I like eventually an idea of an open division where more teams can potentially open into that regional. You know, you don't have to be the champion. You can be the Final Four because you're eliminating teams that are the best teams in the state. Yeah. You know, that maybe losing the semis to St. John Bosco. Well, you know.
Yeah, losing to St. John Bosco. Yeah.
I mean, they're a college team. So I think like I said, I think the CIF did the best they could short of an open division.
Because we talked about it earlier, in the football season, like back in November or something like that. We're saying, hey, let's get this right. Let's have an open division, get the competitive balance back, and not that you were trailblazing here, but you were kind of a pioneer in that, and
great job.
movement.
Like I said, I'm the first one to be critical when I think something's critical. I think the CIF nailed it.
So I have to ask you, when you saw the new breakdowns, who was the first coach you texted? Because we know you know everyone.
Well, the first coach I text is always Alex Pierce, man. Pierce is my guy. So the first text is always from Alex, and Alex was the first text going, hey, we're out of the Inland Division. and so he was happy about that. The guy I talked to the most about this is Hemet Tahquitz. He was a big fan of the show and told me he would bring me a Diet Dr. Pepper if I mentioned his name on the show.
There you go.
So Hemet Tahquitz, defensive line coach at Murrieta Valley, and he comes by every day and goes, Coach, what do you think? What are the potential? What's the possibility? And we would go through, he'd start mapping it out on the board like a beautiful mind, writing on the windows. And
That's
so
passion.
I've talked about it a lot with Coach, and like I said, and he thinks the same thing. Look, you want to play the best teams.
Yeah.
It opens it up to play the best. Now, is it a challenge? Absolutely. But isn't that what we're in this for? You want to be challenged. And so I think it'll be a challenge for that whole league, for the Southwestern League. You're going to have to battle.
The rivalry I'm really excited for, that I think is going to start with this now, is Citrus Hill, Rancho Verde. Their schools are not far from each other. They are in the same district. And I know, and there's not a lot. Yeah, they scheduled each other. They scheduled each other, and there's not a lot of love lost between these two.
I'm going to tell you right now, they don't like each other.
Yeah, no, I know.
Those two teams do not like each other.
That was surprising to me. The first time I was at Citrus Hill, I think there was more hatred spewed toward Rancho Verde than anyone in their own league. So I like this idea of, okay, now these two teams could be facing each other semifinals year after year. That's going to be exciting. I think that might be our new kind of frothing at the mouth. Oh, I can't wait to see these guys' rivalry.
Absolutely agree. And I think, and these guys play in the non-league too. Redlands East Valley, Rancho Verde, I think becomes a setup for what could be
the battle of the canyon. You can drive through the canyon.
You go through that little, little canyon area.
Yeah.
You go through a little canyon, and I think those two teams are set up now for potentially a little bit of a rivalry.
Yeah. Just in my head, when I think of the athletes that Rev has and the linemen, and the athletes and the linemen that Rancho Verde have, obviously Poly's good and Citrus Hill is good, but that was my first thought, Rev Rancho Verde, because those are two programs that just, the amount of college-level talent on those teams is jaw-dropping.
Like you said, Citrus Hill have something to say about it. Riverside Poly, I think, is going to have something to say about it. Heritage. I think Heritage.
Oh yeah, defending champs. No disrespect.
I don't want to write Heritage off.
Definitely.
Quite either.
Elsinore, they're always good.
Elsinore every year.
There's a lot of teams.
So, like I said, I don't want to write any of those guys off. But I think you look at the big five as Heritage, Rev, Citrus Hill, Rancho Verde, and Riverside Poly.
So do you think this? I guess the overall theme is, the Inland Division suddenly wide open. Yeah. Before it was like, okay, Centennial, Vista, we'll just put them in the finals
and
see how.
Any of those 5 teams could win the CIF in that. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a 5-horse race. We're literally, instead of saying, okay, when do we get the Vista Murrieta and Corona Centennial, and let's eliminate all. I think any of those 5 teams could win the CIF this year, and you never know who's coming out of nowhere. But I think any of those 5 could win it.
And what you guys already pointed out is Citrus Hill and the Rancho Verde already playing in non-league. So these games were scheduled, and all of a sudden, hey, we're switching up the divisions. Now this is a playoff game.
Rev too. Rancho Verde Rev is a non-league game too.
That's going to be a heck of a game. That could be a CIF championship preview right there. Even I think Centennial's in that same boat. They had Olu and Mater Dei and Long Beach Poly. All these teams now, they're in the same playoff division. So I don't know. It's hard to beat a team once in a season, let alone seeing them twice.
It's hard to beat Mater Dei ever.
At all. Yeah, at all.
It's always hard to beat Mater Dei. But I'm going to tell you what, it's always hard to beat Corona Centennial too.
Yeah.
So, they got it right. The teams that are playing each other, that should be playing each other, are playing each other.
Could you, I don't want to say, the word loser, but who's the biggest winner? Who do you think will benefit most, and who do you think might have that uphill battle? You said maybe like a third-place team out of the San Andreas. So you're going to have to be playing up.
I would say the after San G in the San Andreas League probably would look at it and say this is a tough road. I would say after Corona Centennial in the Big 8 would probably look at it and say it's a tough road. But again, you get to say you're in the Pac-5. So, if you're Santiago, you're a Pac-5 team now. If you're Roosevelt, you're a Pac-5 team now. And that carries some weight to say, well, we're a Pac-5 team. And now, you know, look, Santiago's got a bunch of kids. There's a bunch of kids at that school. Roosevelt's got a bunch of kids. It's not like they're sitting around with 1,500 kids. Yeah. So they're going to be all right. I mean, I'm not sitting around crying for Santiago and Roosevelt. These are good football teams, good coaches, really good staffs. They're going to be okay.
You know, the program I think really got hurt the most is probably Rim of the World. You know, they went from being in the East Valley Division,
absolutely,
winning, you know, all these games, and now they're moving on to the San Andreas League, which was going to be tough enough going up when they thought it was going to be, you know, Division 8. And now this new Inland Division is more like Division 3 or 4, and they're going to get stuck there. It's a tough draw for them.
I said this from the start. I think Rim of the World got jammed in the re-leaguing. To put Rim of the World with their student population enrollment in the San Andreas League against schools with over 3,000 kids. You know, what does Rim have, 1,100 kids, 1,200 kids?
Well, I think the solution is you put them back in the MRL and then move Burroughs back into the DSL. You have 2 16 leagues. You know, Barstow's about 1,500 kids now too. So, and that drops them down into your division, which is a lower division with some smaller schools.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not you're a better solution man than I am. But when I looked at it, the first thing when they re-leagued it, I looked at that and said, well, Rim of the World is playing against teams that are 3 times, literally schools that are 3 times their size. That's probably, there's not a lot of equity. Unless you're a private school, there's not a lot of equity there.
Do you think they just didn't know where to put them? Like, well, it's like, well, geographically, I guess it makes sense, you know.
They've been so successful, and so sometimes you're a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been successful, they've won, so where do you put them? Do you put them down where they're beating up on people? Do you move them up? I think they wanted to move them up. I mean, it's just, boy, that's a small school to be playing against some really big schools.
You know, now in the Eastern Division, this reconfigured, when you looked at it, who do you think is kind of the biggest? Is it Serrano now? I mean, who do you see as kind of the top dog of this new Eastern Division?
I think there's a few teams. I mean, I think, you know, La Quinta, Palm Springs, you know, La Quinta had a good year last year. They were improved again. Palm Springs was down and it has come back a little bit and made some strides again. So I look at the Desert Valley League as being strong. Serrano and Oak Hill are always a powerful tandem up there. I think Norte Vista's got a ton back, so I think they're going to be really good.
Moreno Valley?
Moreno Valley, I think you'll probably, you look at them as being the class of that league. You know, Rubidoux, I think will maybe push them a little bit. But I think those are some of the teams you look at and say, probably on paper, are some of the favorites. But I think it's pretty wide open. I mean, La Sierra 2 years ago was romping and rolling, you know, and I think we got some kids at Ramona, and I think, you know, Victor Valley's had a couple really good teams. So, you know, Palm Desert not too long ago was playing for CIF championships. So I think, again, I think it's pretty wide open, and I think that's what they were going for. I think in the Eastern Division there's 8 or 9 teams that you look at and say, potentially this is a team that could be in the semifinals or the finals, and so I think it's opened up, and that's what we like about it. I mean, we're excited about the opportunity that we have.
So similar to the Inland, it's, you know, it's anyone's game at this point.
I think even more open. I think the Inland is probably 5, but I think the Eastern is 8, 9 legitimate teams that could make a run.
How about I want to ask you about the Sunkist League. With, you know, Kaiser's had some really great seasons in recent memory. They're still in the Central, but they're surrounded with a bunch of different leagues now. I mean, do you think they could have put Sunkist maybe in your division, maybe in the Inland Division, or do you think I don't even know who's in these the new leagues, the Palomares?
A couple that are in it. Monrovia, Charter Oak.
Oh, okay.
Diamond Bar.
So they got some competition there.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be a walk.
Did they get a tough draw then? Are they trying to play up?
Yeah, it's not going to be a walkthrough. You're going to have to see Charter Oak. You're going to have to see Monrovia. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination for the Sunkist League. Now, I think maybe the Sunkist would have been nice to see them in that. To me, would have been nice to see them in that Inland. With you know, maybe them in the San Andreas.
Yeah.
But do I think they got an easy draw? I mean, Charter Oak. Pretty
That's a former Inland Division team.
Yeah, Charter Oak's pretty good football team. Monrovia has, I think, like a couple of CIF championships in a row at Monrovia. So I don't think it's I don't think it's clear sailing. But boy, I would have liked to see a potential Kaiser. Redlands East Valley, Kaiser Rancho Verde.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because you mentioned the solutions. For me, the solution's always been flip Fontana Kaiser and Fontana Miller, their current leagues. Put Miller down in the Sunkist League and bump Kaiser into the Citrus Belt League, because Kaiser, they just won the basketball championship. They're a baseball power. They're great at football. It seems to me that is a much better thing for the CBL.
I think you got a good point. I've always wondered. And again, I don't know. Kaiser and Summit seem to always, there's never any talk about moving them out of the Sunkist League.
I think Kaiser, even if you're only going to move one, I think Kaiser is a strong case just because, like I said, it's not like, oh, they're just good at football. They just basketball title, and God, that baseball program's good.
Boy,
I mean,
boy, are they good.
so it's one of those things where and I look at Miller, it's like they're the same city, so clearly don't have geographic issues. One program can't compete in the CBL on anything, and one probably would, so let's make the switch. And then for me, then the Sunkist League with, you know, Grand Terrace and Colton and these other programs that aren't as good, then you can drop them down somewhere, say that Eastern Division, and put the Desert Valley. Boom, hey, I think we just made a better league.
They need to pay you more.
We tell my editor that?
Oh, this guy right here, man.
So
he's the answer man.
So I just feel like that's my biggest thing. I think that would make, because then that makes the Inland Division even more competitive, and you don't have to worry about that drag down of, look, Colton and Grand Terrace couldn't compete in the Inland Division. Kaiser could.
I think Kaiser absolutely could. I think Kaiser would be, if you put Kaiser in the CBL right now, I mean, you're talking about maybe being the favorite.
I think they'd be second. I'd pencil them in second when I look at like what Ukaipa has back and Redlands has back, and Carter will be in for an adjustment.
Maybe I think right now you're talking about Carter probably being, if you look at the CBL objectively, I think you're probably talking about Carter being the #2 team. I mean, Kaiser-Carter is probably a pretty good football game.
Yeah. So that's one switch. One team that I think benefited, we haven't talked about, and we never talk about them. Vista del Lago. They hit the jackpot and getting re-leagued because they go from having to play Rancho Verde and Poly to having to play Banning. No disrespect to Banning, but it's not the same. And they're going from the Central Division, which had all those great teams. So even if they did squeeze in, they never had a shot. Now there's a chance for them to win a playoff game. I think Vista del Lago hit the jackpot.
Again, it's the right thing to do. They hadn't been competitive in the Inland Valley. They needed to find a new place for them, and they found one. And so, like I said, I think that was the right move. I think it's appropriate placement. I think it's where they should be. They're a little bit of a smaller school than some of them, so I think it's appropriate placement. And like I said, I think they got it. I think they got that move right too.
So, Coach, from the way you understand, this is good for 2 football seasons. So.
4, I believe.
4?
Right? Because now they're going to re-league after 2. Every 2 they re-league.
Oh, okay.
The divisions are for 4.
For 4 years.
Like you said, what if they they can move Kaiser out of their league?
Yeah, and then they're automatically switched to a new division.
But they'd stay in the division. The division stays the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, so it's good for 4, but there's going to be some movement after 2.
Do you think we could see, after 4 years, hey, this team, is dominating, or this team is playing way out of their league? Or maybe they're not, hey, we thought they could compete at this level. We need to do something.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think, I think this will drive movement because teams that were down dominating lower levels are now no longer going to be dominant programs, and that may disperse kids back to other places and change balances of power a little bit. So I think anything like this is good. It's going to spur some change. It's going to create more competitive balance. I think it's good. I think they got it right.
Is this leading to an open division, or?
Well, I hope so.
I mean, do you think this is like progress, another step towards that?
Can't wait. Get the open division done. Now you have 4 years. They got it close. Open it up. Get an open division. Everybody playing everybody, and the best. They pull the best, and then you don't have to worry about. Now we take away the problem of, well, where do we put Citrus Hill? They belong in a different place than the rest of their league. No worries.
Yeah.
Call them up to the open division. Get the open division done, and it solves all of these questions. Kaiser's too good for their division. Get them in the open division. I mean, it solves all these problems.
So I have to ask you, last year we saw Riverside Poly was the team that no one expected anything from, and they turned out to be great. Who's the team right now that you're thinking? You can't pick your own team.
I was just saying, I think Ramona.
Every at this point, every coach thinks,
true. That's absolutely
who's
true.
the team? I mean, you're talking to, that maybe is off people's radars, but could have a good season in them and then benefit from this.
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know if they're under the radar, but I think Summit is going to be
Nick Matheny, new coach.
Coach Matheny is underrated. He does a real,
Hey, I wrote a column about him. I got him out there.
He did at Fontana. People don't understand where Fontana was when Nick got there. If you look at just record, he did a great job.
I think what I wrote was they won 4 games in a 12-game span. It took them 3 seasons to win their previous 4 games. Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely steps.
And they were just way better. I mean, even if you don't look at the straight wins and losses, you just look at how they played and their competitiveness and how hard they played and their way. If he can do that, if he can take some semblance of that to Summit and get that going at Summit, they've got better dudes. So, you know, it's gonna. I think Summit's dangerous. I think Summit can push Kaiser in that league. I don't know if they can beat Kaiser because Kaiser's, I think, pretty loaded coming back. But I think Summit will be back to where it was before, where that's a two-team race instead of a, you know, Kaiser and everybody else deal.
All right, Coach, we're pushing an hour here on the show. Any final thoughts on Ramona, the new divisions, anything?
The noble creature.
Hey, I'm fired up, man. We had a great practice today. Kids are getting after it. Really excited. You know, we got great kids. We're farther along I thought we'd be. Things are going really well, and like I said, I'm so excited for the new divisions. I think they got it right. I think it's going to make high school football better. It's going to be a great year.
Let me ask you real quick: are your kids at Ramona, are they adjusting to your style?
Yeah,
your enthusiasm.
It's been a faster adjustment than I thought it would be. Some places it's faster, some places it's slower. Our kids have really bought in. We practice really hard. You know, when you have Big Foz coaching the O&D lines, you know, the O&D lines have gotten way better in a short period of time. If we're as good on the O-line as we're practicing right now, you know, I think that'll be good. That's a good thing for us. So, yeah, I'm really proud of the way our kids have done, and you know, it's been great. Been a enjoyable experience so far. So we're hoping to keep it going.
All right, Ramona head coach Vinny Fazio joining us here live on the Blitz. You knocked it out of the park once again, Coach. You're the man.
Thank you, guys.
And I'm glad to see you got some gear with the R on it finally.
Visor, man.
Like I say, he's got a bit of a rainbow. He's got some Ike green, some Merida Valley red, some Fontana black, now some Ramona blue.
Yeah.
I try to look like a fat John Gruden.
You're pulling it off, I guess.
Wait, let's see your Chucky face.
Oh yeah, do you have that? Yeah, I was gonna say you're always smiling though. I mean, can you get serious? Do you ever get serious?
I get a little bit, but try not to.
All right. Well, Vinny Fazio, you're always a pleasure here on the show. We really enjoy your time, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again in the next couple of weeks.
Anytime, just text me, man. You know, I'm available.
All right, I'm gonna hit you and Alex up. I know you guys gonna throw each other, right? Are you guys gonna throw?
We're throwing tomorrow.
Oh, you're throwing tomorrow?
Yeah, they're coming to throw against us tomorrow.
Well, maybe you'll see me tomorrow. Who knows?
Come by, man. We can't wait.
At your place?
Our place.
Okay.
Tomorrow, 5 o'clock.
All right,
I'll be covering Kaiser baseball, telling them they should move into the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, tell me you're playing, drawing this
coordinated effort,
drawing the dirt.
I'll tell you what, they're doing a good job. That's a really good baseball team.
All right, Vinny, you're the best. You already know that, but you're the best. We appreciate your time very much. All right, Kyle, before we go, one final note. A big shout out to the Riverside Poly golf team. They finished second place in the Eastern Division, meaning they advanced to the Southern California Regional Qualifier next week at Mission Lake. So that was a big deal. Great Oak just missed out. Only 2 teams automatically qualified. Great Oak finished 3rd. Ontario Christian got the win, but very big for Riverside Poly to advance as a team. So they'll be going on to the next round. So here's some quick highlights from that on Monday from Rupa Hills Country Club.
Let's take you out to Rupa Hills Country Club on Monday afternoon. Beautiful conditions for the CIF Southern Section Eastern Divisional. Only the top 2 teams advance to the Southern Section Finals. I'm Pep Fernandez. Riverside Poly and Great Oak were 2 of the top teams up in the mix, challenging for the CIF title. Let's start with the defending champion Great Oak. Kendall Hodges led the Wolfpack with a team best 74. Hao Yuan Lee carded a 76 for the pack. Great Oak posted a team score of 377, good enough for 3rd place, but not a spot in the next round. Only the top 2 teams advance. And one of those teams is Riverside Poly. Tristan Stone rocked on Monday. Stone and his 67 helped the Bears finish with a score of 373. Stone tied for the low score of the tournament. Greg Gonzalez dropped a 74 as the Bears finish in 2nd place. Ontario Christian was 8 strokes better than the Bears, and they win the Eastern Division title with a team score of 365. Riverside Poly is runner-up and heads to the SoCal Regional Qualifier at Mission Lakes Country Club in Desert Hot Springs on Tuesday, May 27th.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, none of us really played too well at CIF Regionals last week. So it was really good for us to, all come back out and, really grind that out today and put up some good numbers. I think we have a pretty good chance. A lot of us were left a few strokes out there, so if we could just pick up those strokes, I definitely think we have a good shot at it.
I'm pretty excited. That's all that matters. Like, this course is in our area, so we knew we had a good chance of moving on and possibly winning, and we competed well today, so pretty excited for the next round. 373, yeah, we played Great Oak in a scrimmage here, and we shot that same exact score, so it's like pretty funny.
And that's the team that you edged out. I mean, Great Oak finished third, right?
Yeah, definitely. They played, I mean, pretty consistent if you look at their numbers. Everybody, it was like 74, 75, 76, 77, 78. They were like right in there.
Right, Kyle, as you just pointed out off the air, this was big for Riverside Poly because none of their golfers were going on to the next round unless they did it as a team.
Yeah, you know, they had individuals and just did not play well. It takes a lot of mental strength to come back a week later, you know, after saying, you know, hey, my high school career might be done, but to find it within themselves to really have a performance like that, give the Bears a lot of credit.
So we'll see what they can do at Mission Lakes in Desert Hot Springs next Tuesday. That's the next round to advance to the Southern California Regional. Once again, we got to thank the Tahquitz Titans for coming on the show. Head coach Dennis Gregovich, Tim Neely, Michael Rockmore, Ty Davis, and Billy Keegan all making the trip here to Adrenaline Athletic Training in Corona. And of course, our good friend, the head coach of the Ramona Rams, Vinny Fazio. We got to get that Gruden clip out, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Said he was a fat John Gruden, so we're gonna tweet that at you, John Gruden. So hopefully you check it out and get a good laugh like we did. Of course, thanks to Adrenaline Athletic Training, they're always great here, and we will be back here live at 5:30 next Wednesday, as we'll be several rounds deeper into the softball and of course the baseball playoffs, and I'm sure we'll have an update on that.
Yes, we will.
All right, for Kyle Glazer, I'm Pep Fernandez. We'll see you again next Wednesday live at 5:30 from Adrenaline.